for future office per the U.S. Constitution. I think the original intent of that amendment would see it that way, too. But of course, there's another way that he could be barred from future office, and that's impeachment. Remember that one? After January 6th, Donald Trump was impeached in the House for the second time, first president ever. He could have been convicted in the Senate and, pursuant to the conviction, barred from holding future office. 7 members of his own party voted for that conviction. It was the most bipartisan support for an impeachment conviction in the history of this nation. At one point, even Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was reportedly considering voting to convict. But when it came down to it, McConnell just washed his hands of the whole thing, shrugged, told the country, not my job to hold Donald Trump accountable, but, maybe someone else should do it.
Our system of government gave the Senate a specific task. The Constitution gives us a particular role. This body is not invited to act as the nation's overarching moral tribunal. President Trump is still liable for everything he did while he was in office as an ordinary citizen. Unless the statute of limitations is run, still liable for everything he did while he was in office. Didn't get away with anything yet. We have a criminal justice system in this country. We have civil litigation. And former presidents are not immune from being accountable by either one.
All these guys, they're all so tough, aren't they, at their lecterns? Stern, hectoring, posting in caps lock. Mitch McConnell, he's not out of the woods yet. Bravely standing on the Senate floor to dump the problem of a sociopathic, maniacal hater of American democracy on someone else. You should really do something about this guy. And thereby allowing the ex-president to escape accountability and the obvious punishment for his crimes, which is to bar him from running for office again, where he can now do so and threaten the Republic. And Mitch McConnell voted to acquit Donald Trump. He told Republicans to vote their conscience, and all but 7 voted to acquit. So now that someone else has actually done the thing that McConnell said they should do, held him liable for his alleged crimes under our system of justice, gosh, I haven't heard a lot from Mitch. He seems silent on the matter. To be clear, we are where we are with both accountability for Donald Trump and the fate of the American constitutional republic. I'm not overstating things. Hanging in the balance, a toss-up, because Mitch McConnell and all the Senate Republicans and the whole Republican Party just refused to do the obvious, simple, and straightforward thing. They could have just convicted him. We wouldn't be here. But they refused to convict him for inciting the violent insurrection that concussed a bunch of police officers and threatened the life of the vice president. The insurrection that went on for hours violently in front of us, for which over 1,000 people have been charged, that we all watched happen. The one that he incited, that we knew he incited, they could have convicted him for that, and they could have barred him from holding future office. But they didn't. And so then we now have them to thank. Congress